must simply understand that these are your pastimes. Bhavaha, birth, nirodha, death, sthiti, maintenance, api, also, avidya, by the external illusory energy, kritaha, done, yataha, because, tvai, unto you, abhaya ashraya, O fearless shelter of all, atmani, of the ordinary living entity. Translation. O Supreme Lord, you are not an ordinary living entity appearing in this material world as a result of fruitive activities. Therefore, your appearance or birth in this world has no other cause than your pleasure potency. Similarly, the living entities who are part of you have no cause for miseries like birth, death, and old age, except when these living entities are conducted by your external energy. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text 7, Mamivangsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. The living entities are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, and thus they are qualitatively one with the Lord. We can understand that when the Supreme Lord appears or disappears as an incarnation, there is no other cause than his pleasure potency. We cannot force the Supreme Personality of Godhead to appear. As he says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 7, Yada yada hi dharmasya, glanir bhavati bharata, abhitanam adharmasya, tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. When there is a need to diminish a burden created by the demons, the Supreme Godhead can do it in many ways because he has multifarious energies. There is no need for him to come as an incarnation, since he is not forced to do anything like ordinary living entities. The living entities come to this material world in the spirit of enjoyment. But because they want to enjoy it without Krishna, Krishna bahirmukha hoya bhoja vancha kare, they suffer birth, death, old age, and disease under the control of the illusory energy. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, however, no such causes are involved. His descent is an act of his pleasure potency. We should always remember this distinction between the Lord and the ordinary living entity, and not uselessly argue that the Lord cannot come. There are philosophers who do not believe in the Lord's incarnation and who ask, why should the Supreme Lord come? But the answer is, why should he not come? Why should he be controlled by the desire of the living entity? The Lord is free to do whatever he likes. Therefore, this verse says, Vina vinodam bhata tarkayamahe. It is only for his pleasure that he comes, although he does not need to come. When the living entities come to this world for material enjoyment, they are entangled in karma and karma phala by the Lord's illusory energy. But if one seeks shelter at the Lord's lotus feet, one is again situated in his original liberated state. As stated here, krita yatas tvayabayashrayatmani, one who seeks shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord is always fearless. Because we are dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we should give up the idea that without Krishna, we can enjoy freedom in this material world. This idea is the reason we have become entangled. Now it is our duty to seek shelter again at the Lord's lotus feet. This shelter is described as abhaya, or fearless. Since Krishna is not subject to birth, death, old age, or disease, and since we are part and parcel of Krishna, we are also not subject to birth, death, old age, and disease. but we have become subject to these illusory problems because of our forgetfulness of Krishna and our position as his eternal servants. Jivera Svarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. Therefore, if we practice devotional service by always thinking of the Lord, always glorifying him, and always chanting about him, as described in text 37, Shunvan Grinan Samsar Sayangs Cha Chintayan, we will be reinstated in our original constitutional position and thus be saved. The demigods, therefore, encourage Devaki not to fear Kamsa, but to think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was already within her womb. I'll read the text and translation again. Nate bhavasyasya karanam vina vinodam bhatatarka yamahe bhavo niroda stitir apya vidyaya kritayas tvai abhayashrayatmani. O Supreme Lord, you are not an ordinary living entity appearing in this material world as a result of fruitive activities. Therefore, your appearance or birth in this world has no other cause than your pleasure potency. Similarly, the living entities who are part of you have no cause for miseries like birth, death, and old age, except when these living entities are conducted by your external energy. Hare Krishna. So, I think this is a nice verse to study just before we celebrate Janmashtami, because it is spoken by the demigods before Devaki gives birth in the prison house of Kamsa. And it offers lots of encouragement to us. Some of the points that are made here seem a little complex, but actually they're very straightforward, simple messages that this verse and the purport are offering us. So I hope to bring that out for you. But at this stage, Kamsa has been notorious. He has been cruel. He has broken his promises. He has just caused absolute havoc, death, and misery for so many people. He has imprisoned Devaki and Vasudeva. He is waiting for the appearance of this child that she will now deliver and is planning to kill it immediately. So in this situation, the demigods, who are also disturbed by all the activities that are happening on Mother Earth, they are approaching Devaki and they're praying to Krishna within her womb. And they're trying to summon up all their best realizations, because they have actually been driven by fear. They have been affected by fear. And this is something that is mentioned in the Shastras, and Prabhupada has pointed it out, that even the devas, the demigods, they are put into fearful positions, because even they are worried what's going to happen to our situation. Will there be trouble for us? Will things work out? Will we be happy? Will we suffer? So they're frightened. So they're approaching Krishna in this way. And what they're appreciating is that if they take shelter of Krishna, then maybe they will feel free from fear. And they're doing this for themselves, and at the same time, they're also wishing to offer Devaki all their best wishes and to encourage her to have no fear. So this verse starts with a clear description that we cannot think of Krishna in the same way as we think of any other soul within this material world. That Krishna is not a jiva. Krishna is Paramatma. We may be Atmas, But Krishna is the Paramatma, the supreme personality, the supreme soul. And so we refer to ourselves as the jivas. And Prabhupada quotes this verse from the Bhagavad Gita, Mama Vangsho, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. And it's amazing how within the world of Hinduism, this verse is not as clearly understood as it is stated. It is so simple that the Jiva Bhuta, the Jiva living entities, you, me, all of us, we are Jiva. And what is our status? Anksha, tiny particle of spiritual energy, tiny particle of conscious being. And where do we belong? Where does this Anksha belong? Well, Krishna is saying, Mama Vangsho. This Anksha, you, me, everyone, we are Krishna's Anksha. We are a particle of Krishna. Now, does that mean that we are Krishna completely? No. And this verse is developed actually, and in another verse that's mentioned further down, where it says, Jivera Svarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. You see, I'll point it out here. This is a verse spoken by Sri Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami when he was instructing him. And it is the first statement that Lord Chaitanya makes as part of those instructions to Sanatana Goswami. So this is an absolutely crucial starting point. And in one sense, it is the essence of the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness, of the whole essence of the Vedas. It's all wrapped up in this verse. Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. That the Jiva, the soul, the Swarupa of the soul, not just our condition at the moment, but our condition eternally, what we are actually designed, what we are created to be as the Jiva. That is our Swarup. And what is it? Krishnera Nitya Das. We are the servants, the dasa of Krishna. And this isn't just something we do for a while. This isn't just something we do to get us out of the material world. This is Nitya Das. That is the eternal position of the Jiva to serve Krishna. And what is being explained here is that there are different ways and places that we can do that. We can be serving Krishna in this material world, or we can serve Krishna in the spiritual world. But otherwise, the reality is we should serve Krishna. However, service to Krishna has a choice. And if we don't want to serve Krishna, then we fall into another category, which is in the second paragraph of the purport. Krishna Bahirmukha Hoya, Bhoja Vancha Kare. That if our desire, Bhoja Vancha, if our desires are towards being the enjoyer ourselves, well, then we are put under the care of Krishna's Bahirmukha, his external energy. We're part of the material world. And we can do that. We can enjoy that. We can try and enjoy it separately from Krishna. That opportunity is available to us. And sometimes it works out and sometimes we feel happy, but other times we feel that there are problems, suffering. We feel there are fears, there are worries, there are anxieties. Because we are doing something that is not our Swarup. When we try to be the center of the enjoyment and desire things which are meant for my pleasure, we are trying to replace Krishna as the center of all activities and place ourselves there. And that, says Krishna and Prabhupada, that brings a reverse condition. All sorts of things start to go wrong here. So that's the first point that we need to appreciate, that Krishna and the Jiva are differently. We come to this material world, Bhoja Vancha, because we are trying to be here and enjoy it separately from Krishna. But then the question is, well, why does Krishna come? Why is Krishna coming to this material world? He's not coming to enjoy it in the same way as us. And that is the point that is made here. Krishna is not coming and appearing in this world at Janmashtami, because of the result of his own activities or because of his karma, because of his desire to, he's not coming because he's forced to or obliged to, in the same way as we are. Our appearance in this world is a result of all our previous activities. That obliges us to take birth. But Krishna is appearing out of his own desire. And this is a very famous verse quoted here in the Bhagavad Gita. I think all of you know this verse, Ida Hida Hidaramasya. Whenever and wherever there is dharma glani, a decline in dharma, poverty, where that has happened, or abhutanam dharmasya, and a need to re-establish dharma in the face of adharma, then that's when Krishna, Tadatmanam, Krishna himself wants to come, Srijamya. And Srijamya is a nice word. It means to manifest. I remember reading one translation by one Hindu guru who basically translated this, I get myself a body. And that is a very, very poor translation of this, this Sanskrit. Srijamyaham. Krishna means I descend, I manifest myself. And when Krishna comes in this material world, he's not coming forced to take a physical body. Krishna appears in his own transcendental form, the same form that is there in Goloka, the same form that he is enjoying playing with the cowherd boys and with the gopis and with Nanda and Yashoda in the spiritual world. That is the form that Krishna uses in order to come to the material world. That's what he's bringing. And he doesn't come alone. He brings all his associates. And he manifests incredible pastimes, not because he's forced to, but because he actually likes us. That's the amazing thing. This verse, whenever there's a decline in irreligion and a need to reestablish it, and then Krishna explains in the next verse how pranitranaya sadhunam, to protect the devotees, and vinashaya chaduskritam, to deal with the demons and people who are causing a problem. As Prabhupada says here, when there is a need to diminish a burden created by the demons. Although Krishna says in the Gita, that's why I come. The understanding really is Krishna can deal with these situations without having to come himself. He has powers at work in this world. He can easily deal with different situations and people who are problematic. He doesn't have to come as an incarnation. Just because there's terrible things going on there doesn't force Krishna to have to appear. He can deal with it. However, when he does appear, and this verse is here, his descent is an act of his pleasure potency. Now, what does that mean? His descent is an act of his pleasure potency. That means that Krishna is coming and making his appearance at Janmashtami 5,100 and something years ago, that out of his own desire. This is something he wanted to do. He wanted to come and enjoy pastimes here. Now, in other places in the Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada explains that sometimes Krishna likes to do things which he can't do in the spiritual world. There's no one to fight with up there in the spiritual world. There's lots more important things going on in the loving exchanges between Krishna and all the devotees. So there's no fighting going on. But Krishna kind of sometimes likes to have a little sport. He wants to play. He wants to enjoy something different. So Krishna sometimes makes his appearance in this world for the sake of his own enjoyment. Now, we come to try and enjoy away from Krishna in this material world. Krishna comes to enjoy with his devotees, because for Krishna, the real enjoyment is this relationship that he has with all the devotees. And when Krishna brings his pastimes to the material world and is presenting them to us, he's doing that not just to enjoy with those devotees who've come with him. And we should understand that Nanda, Yashoda, Devaki, Vasudeva, all of these have come with him in order to enjoy these pastimes. The Yadu dynasty, all his friends, the cowherd boys, the gopis, they've all come to be here. And they've been joined by many of the devas and their wives also incarnating to be part of these pastimes. And Krishna does all that because he wants to share his activities, his enjoyment, not just with these incredible devotees, but also with us. And that is the appreciation we need to have as we approach Janmashtami. That Krishna is coming to show these pastimes so that we can join in. Now, we might think, well, yeah, but this was all 5,000 years ago. How do we join in? The time is gone. Krishna doesn't seem to be present anymore. But we know that Krishna never actually leaves. Although his pastimes were manifest and they could be seen in Vrindavan and in Dwarka and in Mathura 5,000 years ago, we know that Krishna actually is still present there. Now, when we go to Vrindavan, we may not see that. We may not see that directly. But if you have just a little faith in your heart, a little bit of devotion, you're going to feel it. You kind of feel, I'm here, Krishna's here. You know, the spirit of Krishna can be felt. And we can start to feel just a little bit of the flavor of the happiness and the pleasure that exists in that relationship with Krishna, in being part of his pastimes. And we take Krishna's pastimes, not just in all the beautiful things that he does with his devotees that we read about in the Bhagavatam, but also in all the service activities that we get to enjoy here and now. And these are mentioned near the end of this verse. Therefore, Prabhupada says, if we practice devotional service by always thinking of the Lord, always glorifying him, Shrinvan, always chanting and hearing about it, as described in a previous verse, just a couple of verses earlier, we will be reinstated in our original constitutional position and thus be saved. We'll actually feel that connection with Krishna. We'll feel him in our hearts. And once you start to feel Krishna in your heart and you start to try and focus whatever you can in the service of Krishna, you're actually, in one sense, you are no longer in this material world. You are now part of Krishna's pastimes spiritually, transcendentally. You are no longer affected. Yes, okay, we still got a body, we still got to feed it, we still got to clean it, we still got to look after it. And at times it does give us trouble. But actually, in one sense, we're no longer in the material world. Yeah, we still got this body attached to us for now. And eventually this body will seem to get old and will disappear. But actually, we as the souls are no longer bound by that body. We are now connected and enlightened and basically energized now in our relationship with Krishna. And therefore, for us, there is no need to take another birth in this material world. Rather, that consciousness that I simply give myself to Krishna means that my future is back with Krishna, wherever he is, whether he's performing pastimes in this material world, somewhere, some universe, wherever, or back in Goloka with all the other devotees. That becomes our destination. Therefore, even as a devotee, even as the youngster we are in Krishna consciousness, we're all youngsters, we're all young people, we're all newly practicing Krishna consciousness. But still, it is so powerful that we are no longer bound to this world. And that's what the Gita tells us, that once you have begun this process, your karma is just dissipating moment by moment. It's just flowing away from you. And what you are building is your storehouse of bhakti, devotion, which is just qualifying you going back to Krishna. So in this situation, says the demigods to Devaki, how can we be fearful of anything? How can you be fearful? You have got Krishna's shelter. As it says here, we've got shelter again at the Lord's lotus feet. And this shelter is abhaya, fearless. Krishna is transcendental. Krishna is eternal. Krishna is full of happiness. Krishna is full of love. And we are part and parcel of Krishna. Anksha, mama vanksho jiva loke. So we're also free from birth, death, old age, and disease. We are transcendental. We are full of happiness. We are actually full of love. That's our situation. It's just amazing how badly we've forgotten it. How badly we've kind of absorbed ourselves in everything else and convinced ourselves that we aren't full of knowledge, full of love, full of happiness. So Janmashtami is this wonderful, wonderful opportunity to redirect ourselves and remember our true transcendental identity. We are the eternal servant of God. And he has come in order to attract us, to play with us, to encourage us, to give us service, to give us something to talk about and glorify, through these wonderful pastimes. And just to become absorbed in thinking of ourselves as Jivera Swarupa Hoy, the eternal servant of Krishna. I was reading something earlier. It was a transcript of the class that Srila Prabhupada gave at Bhaktivedanta Manor when he came there in August 1975. And that was an important one to me because I was there. I'd only been in the temple for about 5-6 weeks at the time. And this was my first time seeing Srila Prabhupada. He'd arrived the day before. And we had this wonderful kirtan for him at the airport at Heathrow. And the sliding doors opened and there came Prabhupada. We were all chanting, bow down. And it just seemed that Prabhupada glided, floated across the hall. And then he went back to the temple at Bhaktivedanta Manor. And the next morning, after we did one of his wonderful morning walks around the village, up through the fields, he came back and gave a class. And actually, he gave a class on a very similar subject to this. And I remembered that it was about Purusha and Prakriti, that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, the Purusha, and we are Prakriti. We are there to serve him. And Prabhupada used a word there which I don't know if he's used in any other context. He says, we need to think of ourselves as helper beings. Sometimes we say servants or, devotees of Krishna. And in this case, he was asking us to think we're just helper beings. Beings whose duty, whose job it is to just help Krishna however we can. That's who we are. And that's what will make us happy. That's what will free us. That's our situation. And all we have to do is just remember that simple thing, I am a helper being. I belong to Krishna. And that is the simple formula for happiness. Now, there's plenty to distract us in this world. There's plenty of things that can stop us remembering who we are and our relationship with Krishna. There's plenty of things that will try and entice us as being the, this is for your enjoyment. Never mind Krishna, this is for your enjoyment. This is what you can do. This is what you can get. And we're so used to calculating like that it is not a surprise that we become distracted and fooled and tricked into these things time and time and time again. But as long as you just hold on to something inside, remembering, every time I try something that puts me at the center of the enjoyment, it doesn't work. But if I can just remember sometimes, occasionally, once in a while, to put Krishna at the center, then I can taste something completely different. I can begin to discover what is the true secret of happiness and success in this life. That is our eternal devotion to Shri Krishna. So a great verse to meditate on before Janmashtami. Let me read the translation one more time. O Supreme Lord, you are not an ordinary living entity appearing in this material world as a result of fruitive activities. Therefore, your appearance or birth in this world has no other cause than your pleasure potency. Similarly, the living entities who are part of you have no cause for miseries. No cause for miseries like birth, death, and old age, except when these living entities are conducted by your external energy. So Krishna comes to enjoy this material world. He actually comes to enjoy all his pastimes in this material world. So he is here in this material world enjoying it. And he is not appeared because he's forced to, and he is not going to suffer any of the problems that we have in material life, because he is the Supreme Soul. But we are also part of him. We are soul. And therefore these things like birth, death, and old age, they're not happening to us. They happen to the body. But consciousness, the soul, simply observes what's happening. But consciousness is not controlled by time. Only those things which are controlled by time suffer birth, death, old age, and disease. But because time changes the body, makes it appear, makes it grow, makes it suffer illnesses, makes it suffer injuries, makes it decay, makes it disappear at the end. That's what time does to the body. But the Atma, consciousness, is not subject to time. It's transcendental to time. We are non-temporal, time has no power over us. It's only because we identify with something that is changing. We are watching something changing. We're watching our body go through all this, and therefore we feel we are going through that. But actually, if we realize that we are part of Krishna, and as transcendental as Krishna is, then there's no cause for any miseries related to birth, death, old age, and disease. We can be free from all of that. That is the promise. It's not just a promise, that is just a simple statement of facts that this verse here in Srimad Bhagavatam is offering us. And Srila Prabhupada is begging us, just take this simple message. You're the eternal servant of Krishna. Just engage in his service and you transcend all the problems, all the fears. There's nothing in this material world that can be thrown at you. You can just situate yourself in pure happiness and love. Hare Krishna. So maybe we can open up to some questions and things that devotees want to discuss.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. We have around 40 participants. I'm sure there are questions. There are no questions on the chat box, so you can unmute yourself and ask the question if there is any.
So can I start as always?
Yes,
Old
Mataji, Hare Krishna. Done.
age before beauty. Uh, anyway, Akhandinand Prabhu, um, even when I was going from my place when I had not joined, I would make sure on Sunday I'm there because Akhandinand Prabhu used to give a class. Come what may, Sunday was my appointment at the manor so that I would hear his class. And I'm thinking after how many years, I still feel every word I want to chew and chew and chew. However, at one point, a few points you made us so mind-blowing that Krishna comes here because he wants to give us association. Something I'm hearing for the first time is just mind-blowing, that he comes here to give us his association. How much kinder can he be? And the Janmashtami is to redirect ourselves. And Srila Prabhupada saying, I'm a helper being. These 3 points have blown my mind out today. I just thought I would share a Akhandinand Prabhu. I'm sure there are more fiery questions, but very mind-blowing points you brought to us today, for me especially. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji Gangababu. Thank you.
All right, give the floor to the others. They have thought about questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I can ask till somebody thinks of another question. Prabhuji, we have heard that in Vrindavan, there is a place where till date Ras Leela is performed, and no one is allowed to go there in the evening or at night. Is that true, Prabhuji? And a second question is, there is a place again in Vrindavan where laddus are offered to Lord Krishna, and they see in the morning that those laddus have been partaken.
I'm not blessed to be absorbed in Vrindavan as so many of the Brajvasis and even many of the devotees of our movement who have really absorbed themselves in Braj Leela. So I just feel that my contribution is better that I'm in the outside world, if you like, and trying just to offer a little service. But yes, Seva Kunj is the particular grove in the heart of Vrindavan, where it is said to be the pastime of the Ras Leela. Now, we've got to be very careful. It is the place that is identified by our acharyas as the place of Rasa Leela. But if we go there, we will wonder, it seems not that big. How is it that it can accommodate all the gopis and the activities that are described for Rasa Leela? And of course, what you have to appreciate is that we see the size of Vrindavan according to our normal calculations. I can walk from here to here. I can take a rickshaw from here to here within a certain time. This is the size. But Vrindavan is not limited by the physical space. It is said it opens like a lotus and therefore can encompass the universe if necessary. So you can have millions, billions of gopis dancing together in Rasa Leela every night for the length of a day or year or lifetime of Brahma, if necessary. These are just, Krishna is not limited. Even when he comes, he performs pastimes which seem to be tied down to particular places in particular times with particular devotees doing certain things. And that's his kindness to us so that we can kind of get our heads around it. But actually what Krishna is doing when he's enjoying in Vrindavan on even on this planet, is just, that's absolutely mind-blowing. How Krishna enjoys in those situations. And yes, the convention is that no devotee will go into Seva Kunj once it becomes evening, because that is our respect for Krishna and his pastimes. And woe betide anyone who does try it. You know, so, and the idea is, and this is an important point, I think, is being made in that particular situation, is that it is not that we should force the situation. Oh, I'm going to get to see Krishna dancing with the gopis, I'm going to go to Seva Kunj at night time. No, you're not going to see anything. You won't see it. That's not how you see it. Premanjana churita bhakti valochana. You need the prema, you need the anjana of prema, the ointment of love of God to smear on your eyes. That will give you vision, not just going to a particular place at a particular time. That's not going to help anything. Your other question was about ladus getting eaten. Oh, there's all sorts of wonderful things that Krishna does in his deity form in Vrindavan and other places where there are definite pastimes. You know, Bunky Bihari, where they close the curtains very quickly because they're worried if Krishna sees a devotee he likes, he may walk off the altar as he did before and follow that devotee. So they only keep the curtain open for a very short time in case Krishna starts getting any ideas and leaving the temple. So there's all sorts of, these are wonderful pastimes and they give us faith and things. But those are all wonderful. Those are all incredible. And that's just gives us a hint of Krishna's power, Krishna's transcendence, and also Krishna's sense of fun. And that's the amazing thing. Krishna he is the original fun person to hang out with. And that's why we love him. Easy. Krishna's easy to love. It's amazing we don't do it more, but Krishna's easy to love.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Are there any other questions?
I think today everyone is stunned.
Yes.
You're frozen. You know, Dia, no questions today.
No,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, there is a question. When will Krishna appear again? So this was 5,000 years ago. And when will he appear again?
Krishna makes appearances in the incarnation form in a scheduled way. And the Puranas explain when Krishna will make another appearance. Now, we know that very soon after Krishna appearing on planet Earth, he makes another appearance, but this time not as Krishna, but as his own devotee, Sri Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared just over 500 years ago. And he appeared to reinforce all the messages, all the things that we are meant to have learned from Krishna's appearance 5,000 years ago. He is reiterating for us, especially because in this age of Kali, we're really stupid. You know, Krishna appears and we completely misunderstand him. And that's what Prabhupada is getting at here. You know, there's philosophers who think, well, how can this Krishna appear? Is he appearing as a material person? Is he just another man? You know, we're so unfortunate in Kali Yuga. We can't even understand the message, the benefit, the situation when Krishna comes. So Lord Chaitanya is Krishna appearing again 500 years ago. So 4,500 years after Krishna appears, Lord Chaitanya appears and gives us the same message and shows us how to live as a devotee. Now, there is not another scheduled incarnation until the end of Kali Yuga. So, however, there is something better. Now, what could be better than an incarnation of Krishna appearing on earth? What could be better? To have the permanent incarnation of Krishna available to every person in this world. Krishna has incarnated to be present and available and to be with every single person in this world. And he has done that not by appearing in this form that we see with our eyes of Krishna with his peacock feather and his yellow dhoti and playing his flute, not in that form, but in the form of something we see with our ears, in the form of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We have to appreciate that this is the incarnation of Krishna for the Kali Yuga. This is an incarnation who is not somewhere else at some other time, but is right here, right now with you. And if you absorb yourself in your relationship with this incarnation of the Maha Mantra, you get all the benefits that are described here to Devaki. You get absolute freedom. You get transcendence. You get all doubts, all worries, all anxieties, all suffering removed. You become blessed with pure knowledge, pure love for Krishna, just by accepting the incarnation of Krishna as his holy name. So we do not need to, we're not going to sit around waiting for Kalki to come at the end of the Kali Yuga. We've got Krishna with us now in the Hare Krishna mantra. And honestly, if you simply just absorb yourself in it in the way that this verse says at the end, you know, always think of the Lord by hearing and meditating on his holy name, not just chanting it and thinking of something else, but chanting it with love and hearing it with attention. Just hearing Krishna's name. If you just do that, you get all these benefits. You actually feel no fear. You will feel absolute happiness. You will be with Krishna and you will recognize and realize your relationship. And you will know that my life is sorted. I'm happy. I'm going back to Krishna. It's all great.
So Prabhuji, you have to, when you said hearing the Maha Mantra, is it okay to hear the Maha Mantra being chanted by somebody else, or is it you have to chant and hear it?
It's nice to hear it from someone else, and there is benefit hearing it from someone else. But that might just create some initial purification and some initial attraction. But the real thing, your mind will not be fixed and full of love until it is inspired to chant with love and to hear with attention. We need to get to that state. And I think the example that we can use in this regard is Haridas Thakur, who was chanting all his rounds over and over, all day long. And the local Muslim leader wanted to try and distract him. So he sent a young prostitute to try and attract Haridas Thakur away from his meditation. And Haridas Thakur knew what was going on. So he just said, that's okay, you just sit down and wait. We can do things later. And she just sat there and chanted, and the night would go. Haridas Thakur was chanting, she was just listening. So Kazi sent him back the next night. And Haida said, sorry, I was chanting a lot. I've still got a lot of rounds to do. You just sit down and, I'll be finished in a bit. So she sat and she chanted, she sat and just listened while Haridas chanted again. The night passed. But by this time she had heard the chanting so much that she became purified and decided that now she wanted to dedicate herself as a devotee of Krishna. And she became one of the most renowned devotees through her chanting. So we may become attracted to hearing other people chanting. In fact, I can say that happened to me. I heard some young guys chanting and I thought sounds really nice. And who knows how I became affected or purified by it. But I thought, let me try this myself. But it wasn't until I tried it myself that I really understood just how amazing it was. So yeah, you get to the stage of doing it yourself. That's when real things start to really happen. Sorry.
Ekanath Kripa, I think
Okay.
was.
So if the soul is not time constrained or controlled, then what happens to these souls that do not transcend? Do they take rebirth? And if so, that soul should have some connection of sorts with its previous lives.
Yes, I mean, and that's what this verse is saying. Up here when it says, you have no cause, similarly, the living entities who are part of you have no cause for miseries like birth, death. So you have no cause to be worried by this world unless you are absorbing yourself in the external energy. I.e. trying to think of yourselves as I am this body, I am in this world, I am meant to enjoy it, I'm meant not to worry about Krishna. I don't have to worry about Krishna, God, whatever. I can simply just try and make everything in this life about me and my pursuit of happiness and pleasure and success and money and fame and all that sort of stuff. Right? So if I try that, you're going to find it's not going to work out. At the end of your life, you're going to be thinking, oh, well, there were some things I did, I can be proud of this, that, and the other, but there are so many other things I didn't get to do, and so many things that went against me, and so many people who hurt me, and problems I had. And guess what? You want to play again? You can play again. That's what reincarnation is for. If that's your desire, you can come back and do it all again if you want. And you can come back and keep doing it again. And sometimes your karma might suggest that it's not even worth you trying to do this as a human being. You might have a better chance doing it in an animal body. So we'll give you one of those for a while. See how, if you find that's more enjoyable. And if you're really pious and try to do it and that's very hard in Kali Yuga, you might even get to enjoy a little bit of good karma in Svarga. But again, that's like going on holiday for a while. You go burn up your good karma there, back down to being a human again. And the whole thing just keeps on going and going and going. So as long as we want to be the center of our own enjoyment, we can stay in this material world forever. But we don't have to. And anyone who's come in contact with Krishna consciousness probably has a feeling that there's got to be something better than this. Something better than material life. Let me just find out what that could be. And we start to explore Krishna consciousness. And the amazing thing that Krishna says in the Gita is, even if you just start this process, I'm going to help you all get there all the way. You may feel it's problematic, you may feel it's difficult, you may feel you got distractions, but I'm going to help you all the way once you get started. So everyone who's on this call, not because they're on a call with me, but because you're part of a Sangha together, you're each trying to understand your own spiritual life. You're all connected now to Krishna. Your futures are bright. It's just a question of how quickly you want to move along the path.
Encouraging.
You're sorted.
That's very encouraging, Prabhuji. We have just started. So when you say our future is bright, we feel a little bit more motivated.
It's
To
not
do
me who
more.
says it, Krishna says it.
That's even better. Yeah.
It is. And then Krishna says to Arjuna, you declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes, meaning that you are now in Krishna's family. And Krishna recognizes that you want to be connected to him, even if that seems to you to be a distant desire. Krishna takes it as being something really strong, really important within you. And he decides, you are now bound to me. I will help you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. There are questions on the chat.
Okay.
There's one, when is Kali Yuga ending? Will the earth sink kindly give guidance? So that's one. I think you've partly answered that. Another one.
The earth, yes, the earth doesn't sink, but there is, at the end of a day of Brahma, there is, but that's so long away. You know, we're talking billions of years. So nothing to worry about. You know, we're in much greater danger of making a complete mess of this planet, you know, in the next few decades, thanks to human behavior. So we don't have to worry about the end of Kali Yuga. We've got to sort things out in the short term. Sorry, that was on Kali Yuga.
Okay. Another question from the question was from Hitesh Chauhan. Now there's a question from Vivek Bharadwaj. Hare Krishna, my question is, when Krishna was appearing in this world, there were demigods blessing this appearance. Then who is bigger?
Who is bigger?
Yes, because Krishna was being blessed by the demigods. So,
Hare Krishna. Can I put it? You know, this is actually Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vivek.
Yeah. See, this is appearing in my mind yesterday, so I thought let me use this opportunity to ask you. See, okay, they were blessing, all demigods were there blessing the appearance. So someone who is blessing, is he bigger? We should worship him, or someone? Okay, sorry, because I am in Krishna consciousness, little new. So these questions should not come to my mind if I am surrendered to Krishna. But yet I think that process is going on. So I'm asking this. I'm looking foolish to ask this actually, but I'm asking. So who is bigger? You know, someone who is blessing, who is being blessed. Who should we worship?
No, I think I think we can read it. You know, here in the Bhagavatam, this is where we learn about Krishna, where we learn about the relationship with the Devatas. Okay, and here are the Devas, and they are offering prayers to Krishna while he's within the womb of Devaki. They are offering blessings to Devaki for being the host for Krishna. They're offering prayers to Krishna because they themselves see Krishna as a savior for them. So they're not, you know, yes, they will come to Nanda's festival, and just like you might go to someone, you know, there's a birth in a family, you know, you might go there and give your blessings. You know, I give my blessings to this baby child. But this baby child may be far more important, far more clever, far more powerful than you'll ever become, right? But you gave your blessings because that was a way of showing your love and your service. So when the demigods offer what seems to be their blessings, there's nothing they can offer Krishna, really. There really is nothing they can. It's to say, none of us have got anything we can offer Krishna. But what we can offer is our love. That's something that Krishna doesn't have of his own. The only thing that you can really give to Krishna is your devotion, because that comes from you. Everything else Krishna's got. Everything else that you think you've got, Krishna has given you. But the one thing that you've got that Krishna hasn't got is your devotion. So when the devas or anyone appears to be giving blessings, all they're really offering is stuti. They're offering their devotion to Krishna. And Krishna really enjoys that. And that's what all the Vedas are about. It's not an offering of things, of the samagri into the fire. It is not an offering of your wealth, for doing some activity. It's ultimately the offering is yourself, your devotion. And that's what the devas are doing. And Krishna enjoys the devas realizing their connection with him and offering these prayers, offering their worship, offering their glorification of him. Does that help?
Also, Akhandinand Prabhu, Akhandinand Prabhu, the fact that the demigods were praying for Krishna to appear because they were in trouble, so how can they be greater anyway?
Yeah. That's what they're doing here. They're offering prayers because they're
praying is the right word, what Prabhuji said. They were praying, not blessing the occasion, actually.
Yeah.
But
Shanta explained.
But I think you can understand that even if it appears that they are giving blessings, it's actually stuti.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Hare
good
Krishna.
to know, and everybody should be happy to know that there is something we have that we can give to Krishna, that he would love. So our devotion is something that he's pining for. And that is a very powerful statement. Thank you, Prabhuji. And it's easiest thing for us to do. And there we think of all these books that we have to read to get to Krishna. But the most important thing is what you said. And I think that's the gist of what we should be doing. Okay. Prabhuji, there's a follow-up question from the soul control. So my understanding is that Krishna does not give unsolicited advice as such, but the moment we ask of him, then he will give us all, his all. Is that true, Prabhuji?
Yes, I mean, when you say Krishna does not give us unsolicited advice, Krishna is very cautious not to interfere with our own free will. Krishna has given us free will. Krishna is supremely independent. He is Svarat. And it is said that the soul also is Svarat. We have our free will, but we are dependently free. So what we get with our free will depends on Krishna. But Krishna will not interfere with your free will. And he does not force us to be good. He does not force us to be obedient. He does not force us to love him, because that would not be love. Love cannot be forced. It cannot be programmed. It cannot be something that we're doing because we're obliged. The only reason Krishna wants us to love him because we want to love him, not for any reason, not for anything that he has caused. Now, Krishna does sometimes, if he thinks that you are suffering and he thinks that maybe he needs to give you a hint, sometimes Krishna does give you hints. And I'm sure all of you have experienced that if you do something, and maybe you say something nasty to someone, and then in your heart you feel this pang. Oh, we call that conscience. Not consciousness, but conscience. That feeling inside, it's almost like a voice saying, oh, you shouldn't have done that. That wasn't nice, was it? You feel bad about that, don't you? You know? That voice you hear, we've all felt it. Probably several times a day. You know, things we should have done, things we, should have done or should not have done, depending on the situation. We understand that's actually Krishna speaking to us. That's Krishna in the heart, the Paramatma, the Antaryami. Krishna is present within. It's not us, it's coming from Krishna. because the Upanishads explain that within the body there is the soul, and alongside the soul is Paramatma. And that Paramatma is also an incarnation of Krishna. But it's it's a personal incarnation just for you. We each have this personal incarnation that is sharing this body with us. That's Krishna's kindness. But he's not interfering with what you want to do. He just sometimes reminds you that that doesn't feel good, does it? You know, maybe there's a better way of doing stuff. Maybe, you know, there's something else that might make you happier. So it's said that there are two birds in the tree. One of them is the jiva, ourselves, the soul, trying to enjoy all the fruits in the tree, eating this one and it's very sweet, that's nice. And then goes to the next one, eats that and it's bitter, and so on. But there's a second bird in the tree, the Paramatma, who's just watching and thinking, are you ever going to tire of trying to enjoy these little fruits? When will you turn to me? When will we enjoy the love that we could have? So Krishna sometimes drops hints, sometimes offers encouragement, but he won't interfere with our free will. So you are right on that point.
Thank you, Prabhuji. The next question is from Eknath Kripadas from Uganda. And he's saying, Dandvat Prabhu, Dandvat Pranam. I was fascinated to learn that there is a slight difference between Devaki Nanda and Krishna, Vasudev Krishna, Krishna in Mathura, Krishna in Vrindavan, and Krishna in Dwarka. And his question is, if Krishna in Vrindavan is the supreme personality of Godhead, how much different are the others from Krishna in Vrindavan? Kindly elaborate.
Yes, but this is esoteric knowledge and should not be confused. And unfortunately, we don't understand how something can be the same but slightly different. This is a beta and a beta, the same and different, or different and the same, I should say. We don't understand how that can be. And it is sometimes better just to really appreciate Krishna is Krishna. Whether Krishna is in Vrindavan, whether he's in Dwarka or Mathura, he is Krishna. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is never less than that. That is, Krishna is Krishna. Paramatma is Krishna. Mahavishnu is Krishna. Narayan is Krishna. That is the simple point. However, Krishna shows himself in different forms in order to perform different activities. So Krishna shows himself in a four-arm form to be Mahavishnu, to be Garbhadakshi Vishnu, to appear as the Paramatma. It looks like a different form, but it is Krishna. It is Krishna himself. So similarly, when Krishna is appearing as in the to Devaki, he may be appearing in a particular relationship, and he may even have a slight different form in those situations. So he is still Krishna. And Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan are slightly different to his pastimes in Dwarka, slightly different to his pastimes in Mathura. But it is Krishna all the time. But because there are slightly different pastimes, then some of the acharyas talk about Vrindavan Krishna being slightly different to Dwarka Krishna. But it is to do with Krishna's relationships and pastimes and things that he gets up to in Vrindavan, which he doesn't do in Dwarka. It is not that they are different Krishnas. They are the same supreme personality of Godhead always. Just their pastimes, their lila, their relationships, their rasa is slightly different. But that is esoteric, that is advanced stuff. And if it confuses us, don't worry, Krishna. It's all Krishna. Okay?
Akhandinand Prabhu, I'd like to, 1 minute, Kritika, I'd like to introduce who asked this question. He's from Uganda. He's a African body. However, he's a lawyer, practicing lawyer, but fully convinced about Krishna consciousness. And she told me not to tell you, Akhandinand Prabhu, Stephanie is in US. She's there, but she told me I will not come if you're going to introduce me. I said, but Akhandinand Prabhu knows you, so it'll be nice. And also, Emma was there, but she left because she has a lot of difficulties at home with her mother to be on the Zoom, but she was there for most of it. She just left. So it's nice that because you're there, they have all turned up to hear. Hare Krishna. Okay, Kritika, sorry, over.
Haribo,
Hare Krishna.
Uganda.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, Prabhuji, this is from our new recruit. This question from Diya Shah. She's just 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks old with us, but she really asks very deep questions. This question is from her. Do all of Krishna's actions lead to people acknowledging him and love him? Like when he was tied to the pot and he tried to get free, in that manner he released two people in the form of trees. Do all Krishna's actions lead to people acknowledging him in the manner to release the forms? What is...
Yeah, so
yeah.
Is that the question then? Do all Krishna's action lead people to acknowledge
Yes.
it's not him?
Yes, Prabhuji. She's nodding, so I think that's the question.
How you do, Hare Krishna, I can see you. It doesn't always, Krishna's actions don't always attract everyone. Because some people see Krishna's pastimes or hear about Krishna's pastimes and get envious. And they think, why should Krishna be able to do that? I'd like to be able to do that. Why should Krishna be the one to be able to do that? Why should Krishna? And some people challenge, well, why does Krishna do this and help these people and not those? And why does Krishna? So unfortunately, we, as I said earlier, we have free will to love, right? Because that's coming from us. So what is the opposite of love? It's not hate. People think sometimes that love and hate are the opposites, but no. Love means that when I see someone else being happy, I feel happy. When I see someone else suffering, I feel sorry for them, right? That's what love is like. The opposite of that is envy. If I see someone who's happy, I become upset. Why are they happy and I'm not, right? So seeing other people happy, because I'm envious, I become unhappy. But when I see other people unhappy, oh, that makes me very pleased, right? So you can see how love and envy are two opposites. Now in this world, I have to say, there are many souls who are envious of God. Rather than say they hate God, they're envious. They don't want to see God happy. They don't want to see God successful. They don't want to love him. So when they hear the pastimes, they think, they want to find fault. And that's unfortunate. Because actually the pastimes are very attractive. And if people understood what Krishna is doing, like when Krishna is playing with his mother, he's teasing her by stealing the butter, making a mess. She's chasing him. He eventually allows her to capture him. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being chased by Mother Yashoda. That's an incredible pastime. And now she thinks, I've got to punish him but he starts crying. So she says, "Oh, I'm not going to use a stick. No, no, no. How you can beat Krishna? This is just unbelievable, these pastimes." But this is Krishna stirring the pot of love. So Yashoda thinks, okay, no. He's still being naughty. I've got to do something to stop him, being so naughty. So I'm going to tie him up. And of course, she goes through the whole thing trying to get the string to tie, and she puts it around him. She gets all the string in Vrindavan, and still 2 inches too short. It just won't close. So this is Krishna playing. And it's wonderful. The devotees listen to these stories and we just think, this is just absolutely amazing. What a fun God Krishna is. That all he's concerned about is having fun and enjoying this love with his devotees. And then while he's doing that, he's thinking, okay, I've let Mother Yashoda tie me up here. Okay, what more mischief can I get up to? Oh yes, there's these 2 trees. Now they're actually devas, Kubera and Manigriva, and he thinks, I'm going to kind of liberate them. So he pulls the pot through the trees, knocks down the trees, and these 2 devas who had done devotion to him before, but because of a mistake, a curse, they were in the trees. So Krishna's his activities are always blessing whoever's involved. And that's the thing that you need to know about Krishna's pastimes. They always bless who's ever involved. Even Kamsa is going to get blessed by Krishna. That is the thing. Hiranyakashipu blessed by Nrsimhadev. Ravana blessed by Ram. All Krishna's actions ultimately are a blessing on anyone involved. So hopefully that's what people acknowledge. But we as devotees, we certainly should acknowledge and learn to love Krishna even more because of all these pastimes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, there's one more question on the chat. Maybe you have answered it before, but Divyesh Prabhuji is asking, what is the best thing we can do for Krishna?
Well, we've heard here that if we can turn our attention to Krishna, if we can open our hearts, if we can just learn to love Krishna and just to accept ourselves as his helper being, that is the best thing, not only we can do for Krishna, but it's the best thing we can do for ourselves. And really, there is nothing better than hearing about Krishna in the association of devotees, as you were doing with these calls. But then, in the between times, absorbing yourself in thought of Krishna in 2 ways. One, the most important, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Chant it with love, hear with faith and attention. Okay? Chant with love, hear with faith and attention. And if you keep the association of devotees, get together with other devotees whenever you can, come to the temple if that's not possible, these Zoom calls, however it is, chant, and then Krishna will reveal lots and lots of lovely ways in which you can do fun activities in his service. And if you do that, you will feel that Krishna actually is always with you, which he is. Krishna is always with you. It's just a question of appreciating that fact that he is there with you, looking after you.
Hare Krishna. Are there any more questions? I've exhausted the ones on the chat. Mansi Ganga,
We are not asking. No, we are not asking Akhandinand Prabhu if he's willing to give us the time. We're just exhausting our. No. Akhandinand Prabhu has to tell us whether he is open to more questions or he's a busy person. Somehow he comes to our program, so we can't push him more than
It's
necessary.
been very enjoyable. Perhaps everyone is satiated for tonight. I hope on another occasion we can do something else with you all. But it's great to see you've got a thriving yatra. Even in these weird, crazy times, you're holding together as a little community. And, I wish you all well down there. But I think this will be fine for tonight. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Over to Pat Prabhuji. Just 1 minute, Prabhuji. We would like to.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your wonderful class of the Lord Shri Krishna appearance and his pastimes also. We are so blessed to hearing the wonderful lessons from you about the Krishna and his incarnation, how he comes. We are so grateful, Prabhu. And we pray for Lord Krishna for your spiritual enhancement, also giving the lectures and giving the knowledge to us. We pray for you. Thank you very much, Prabhu. For glorification of Akhandinand Prabhu, please chant once Hare Krishna mantra. So this is our gratitude to Akhandinand Prabhu. Please join with us. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama,
Rama
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Akhandinand Prabhu, there is fan we have all the way from New Delhi, and she attends this 8 o'clock. That's 10:30 for her, and she's still there.
Hare
So
Krishna.
Yes, yes, yes.
local devotees left, but she still hangs on till the end. She's a nectar grabber.
No.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna,
Hello, Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Have a wonderful Janmashtami and a wonderful.
You too.
Thank you, Prabhuji. You too.
Bless us all. Thank you.
Happy
Thank you.
Janmashtami to you all.
Thank you, Prabhuji, and to you
Hare
too.
Krishna.
Happy Janmashtami.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Oh, Mahesh also. Mahesh
Yeah.
Prabhu also, Akhandinand Prabhu. He was the first one who used to donate us flowers. Even the Zoom people don't know he's coming from Ruiru to be with us. No, he said now he's in Nairobi, but he was in Ruiru. Thank you, Mahesh, for being with us. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Oh. Jai, glory to
Hare Krishna.
Tapat ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Kritika Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
It was really enjoyable. Like, I don't know, it just felt good. I felt like I was floating again in sleep, kind of. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad you are enjoying him. Every word he speaks is nectar. If you go on internet and type his name and write Atma Paradigm, there are more lectures of his. But now that is really physics, and that is for real intellectuals. So I don't know whether you can. I think you will enjoy them a lot. So go to Atma Paradigm. I need somebody to discuss it with. So go to it and we can discuss few things together.
Sure. I'm just
Atma
sad
Paradigm.
Vishal didn't. Okay,
Sorry?
I'm just sad Vishal didn't join today.
But I'm recording it. I have to stop it. Thank